The conspiracy theories about the Trump administration and the Russians are getting so crazy that in many cases it's impossible to tell whether or not a discussion on MSNBC or CNN is something that they're trying to convince their audience is actually real, or whether or not the discussion is a satire of one of those very shows. This is a real promo that I saw on MSNBC with my own eyes of host Chris Hayes at the Watergate Hotel talking about his show and saying that he's gonna go wherever the questions may take him.
Watergate. We know its name because there were reporters who never stopped asking questions. Now, who knows where the questions will take us, but I do know this. I'm not gonna stop asking them.
The Watergate Hotel, of course, is where the Democrat National Committee had their headquarters in the 1970s, which was broken into by Republican operatives, which ultimately led to the Watergate conspiracy, which, as you know, led to the resignation of President Nixon. And as you know, the lunatic liberals keep clinging on to the false hope and coming up with new conspiracy theories that somehow they're going to find evidence that President Trump was colluding with the Russians, which is going to lead to his resignation or indictment. But since there is no evidence, since there was no collusion, the fake news media just continue to sling mud at President Trump, hoping that some of it will stick. The latest mudstorm, of course, came yesterday when the Washington Compost published this fake news story claiming that President Trump revealed highly classified information to the Russian foreign minister and ambassador. A fake news story which continues to outrage idiots across the internet and cause them to endlessly complain about it on the cable news networks. And so National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster had to come and make this statement.
The story that came out tonight, as reported, is false. The President and the Foreign Minister reviewed a range of common threats to our two countries, including threats to civil aviation. At no time were intelligence sources or methods discussed. And the President did not disclose any military operations that were not already publicly known. Two other senior officials who were present, including the Secretary of State, remember the meeting the same way and have said so. Their on-the-record accounts should outweigh those of anonymous sources. And I was in the room. It didn't happen. Thanks, everybody.
The Washington Post isn't even fit to be at the supermarket checkout aisle next to the other gossip rags and the tabloids. The Washington Post isn't just liberal bias news. It's not just fake news. It's deep state enemy propaganda. Meanwhile, the family of Seth Rich, the former DNC staffer who was killed in a mysterious and unsolved murder, who some believe had ties to WikiLeaks and to the DNC email leaks, the family has hired a private investigator, and he is saying that there is evidence that Seth was in direct communication with WikiLeaks. I'll have to do a follow-up story on that when I have more information because, well, of course, we're not going to hear about that on CNN. I'm Mark Dice, thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're new and check back here every day for new reports. We'll continue to sift through and debunk this enemy propaganda from the deep state piece by piece. So stay tuned, and I'll see you soon.